So, of course, my dad saw how sad I was. Like, I was very sad because he knew. He loved those dogs too. They were his dogs also.
Right.
He knew how sad I was. The time I went over, I was like, I miss my dog. I wish I had a pet. I wish I had something. And I have always talked about having a rabbit, a bunny, because I'm like, oh my god, they're so cute. They're so adorable. Something that will finally let me hug it and love it. You know, like besides Brownie, like she gave me attention, I gave her attention. But I really wanted something fluffy.
Right.
You know, to cuddle. And I thought rabbit was the way to go. So one day we were with my dad and he's like, hey, we're going to go to the flea market. You know, it's me, my dad, my brother. So one day we go to the flea market, and in this specific flea market, they have animals there. Flea market was like everything.
Right.
But one of the main attractions there was that there were so many pets there.
Right.
At one point, there was like kittens and dogs and whatnot too, or puppies from time to time. But the majority was fish, birds, turtles, snakes, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, you know, small animals.
Right.
So that weekend, we go, of course, so eager to get to the pet stand. We go, and I look, and I'm like, oh my god, there's rabbits here. I was like, Dad, look, they have them here. And then we're all looking at everything, and it's so cool, and I'm staring at one specific bunny, which is Oreo. Ideally, I've always wanted a brown bunny. And every time that I've gone, there has been so many brown bunnies everywhere. And this specific time I went and there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so sad. And I was like, oh man, oh well, these still are pretty cute, you know, but it doesn't beat a brown bunny. So I'm staring at them, getting ready to, you know, move on and whatnot. And then my dad comes up to me and is like, did you pick one yet? And I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, yeah, did you pick out a bunny yet? And I'm like, no, why? And it's like, well, do you want a bunny or not? And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, but where am I going to put it? Like, of course, in my head, I'm like, Mom's not going to let me have it.
Right.
Like, God, no, she's never going to let me. How am I going to sneak it in? And then he's like, no, I'll just keep it in my apartment. But again, it's like, but you're not allowed to have pet. And he's like, well, we won't tell anybody. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yes, pick out your bunny or we're leaving. And so at the same time, my brother was getting 2 turtles as well. Because, of course, we had those dogs. Those dogs were everything to us. So he was picking out 2 turtles. I was picking out my bunny. And I saw Oreo. There was something about Oreo. She was the only bunny that wasn't letting me touch her. But for some reason, I really wanted her. But again, the one thing that I liked about her was she had 2 dots on her back. Her ears were black with some white spotting. Of course, she's mostly white, but she had just 2 black dots. 2 random black dogs on her back. And that just made me laugh. I was like, you were so cute. She was just so cute. And I was like, I want that one. That's the one. And so the woman was getting her, like, she didn't even want to come out. Oreo didn't want, she backed up, like, she was trying to hop away. And in my head, I'm like, what's with this bunny? She don't love me? So we get Oreo. She comes with a cage. My brother's also comes with a tank,
right.
Food, you know, the works.
Right.
And from, I think my dad told me, unless he was just like, you know, pulling my leg, she was just $5. I think including the stuff. I want to say probably not. But if anything, she was only $5. And I'm like, what? How is that even possible? But again, flea market.
Right.
So maybe. Well, I don't know where these bunnies came from. Like, I have no idea. They didn't tell us if she was a boy or a girl.
Right.
So we didn't really, like, try to figure out right away what she was.
Right.
I had a hunch that she was a girl, though. Her face is very feminine.
Okay.
You know, very oval.
But you accepted that she might have been a boy.
Yes, because my dad, he went to a, like, PetSmart, Petco, I guess, esque, and he asked somebody, and they checked, and they saw a ding-a-ling. So I'm like, okay, well, my dad's not going to lie to me. So, yeah, I just took it. I was like, okay, cool. You know, who am I to... I've tried, like, I even tried flipping her and checking her. She does not like to get flipped.
No, she does not.
So, I could never tell. I could never figure it out. So, I did accept that she was a guy, or she was a boy.
Until, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, and I invited my best friend over to help me clip her nails. Because I cannot do it, because I am a scaredy cat. And at that same time, we flipped her, and we checked, and she did not have a ding-a-ling. And we, like, Googled, we, like, tried to see, and it's like, nah, that's a girl. That's female. I picked Oreo as a name. Like, thank goodness that I did. Because it fits a guy and a girl. So, winner. If you want to know, her whole name is Oreo Isabela Fernandez.
Then what was it?
When she was a boy, it was Oreo Eduardo Fernandez. And a lot of people make fun of me for giving my pets middle names, but it's like, why not? It fits her. That's her. But yes, so I had Oreo for the majority of the time. Of course, sadly, I didn't have her all the time. She was with my dad, so she loves my dad. Whenever my dad comes by, she gets very excited. Yeah. And he gets very excited seeing her.
He loves her.
It's like he pushes me to go to her. And it's like, okay, that's cool. Anyway, but yeah, so we had her, and it was great. We met.
So
I'm like trying to think of how to go with it. Like, I was going to school, or I was working, and of course for a while I've wanted a dog, but of course my mom did not want a dog.
Right.
And my dad could not have a dog because he already had Oreo, and he just couldn't have pets in there. And of course the dog's loud, so, for a while, I really wanted a dog. My mental health was not okay.
And you had gone to, I forget the name of the mall.
I forgot the name of the mall too. I just had
it. Stratford?
Yeah, yes.
I think so. Stratford or Stanford Square Mall.
Yes. In like Bloomingdale.
I think so, yes.
So, once upon a time, my dad took me to this mall. There was a pet shop.
Called Furry Babies.
Yes. And it was just a pet store full of puppies. And I'm like, Dad, you can't bring me in here. I'm going to come out with a dog. And he was like, no, you're not. You can't. And it made me really sad.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. So we looked around, but it's like, but luckily enough, it's like I wasn't drawn to any of the puppies.
Right.
Like, they were all so very cute, but maybe it's just because I knew I couldn't have one. I didn't try to make a connection with anybody, but the most cutest little dogs ever. And then, yes, I told you about it. You really wanted to see this pet store just because I think you were like, there's a pet store in the mall.
Because up until then, my understanding of obtaining a dog was limited to shelters or you just know somebody who has dogs and those dogs have puppies. So it was kind of like a lottery thing.
Yeah, and if anything, I think same. Just because how we got Crystal and Brownie from my uncle, and my uncle found Crystal and Brownie. But Luce, I have no idea. He just appeared.
So when you went to Stratford and you messaged me telling me that there was a store where, you could go and adopt puppies, I was like, I'm really intrigued. I need to see this store.
Yes, and like I told you many times, it's like I can't go, because if I go, I'm gonna get a dog. And I can't get a dog. But I know if I go, I'm going to. So
we go.
We go because you really wanted to go. You wanted to go to this mall to see the store. And of course, not even low-key. But of course I wanted to go too, because it's puppies. You get to play with these puppies, you get to see these puppies. No harm, no foul, and going and petting them and leaving. Right. So one day I'm like, hey, we finally have free time. And it's like, hey, do you want to go to the mall and see the puppies?
Right. And so we go.
So we go. And we go straight there. And we look around. Like, I think you go your way, and then I'm making my way around every little pen. Yeah. And we're looking cute, adorable, love. And then you find.
And I find this dog that essentially looks like a living tater tot.
Maybe it was kind of like poodle-esque. Because it had a lot of curls.
Its fur was very curly and orange.
It was like
orange,
brown.
yellow, gold.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Basically a tater tot. If you can imagine a tater tot, imagine a tater tot with a snout and 4 legs and a tail.
It was really cute.
It was super cute.
It was so cute. You continue to look at it because I was like, okay, if we get a dog, I wouldn't mind getting this dog. Like, it was pretty cute. But my like little radar was like, hey, it was that little moment of I looked up and then I realized that I didn't look into that like baby crib because all the dogs were in baby cribs. I didn't look at that specific baby crib yet. I looked at all of them but that one.
And this is the part where
all your
my dreams of having this tater tot completely go out the window.
You weren't scared anymore. You were ready to have a dog.
I was ready to do something unheard of.
Oh no, I feel so bad. Like I really feel so bad, but I don't.
But continue.
So I'm drawn, and I'm like, it's okay. I just want to look at the puppies. I I was already like, Kevin really thinks this dog's very cute. This is probably what we're gonna go with. Because for me, I've always wanted an Akita, but that's a big dog. I don't know how to handle big dog.
Right.
I'm used to small dogs. So right there, my runner-up right there next to it was a Pomeranian.
Right.
Like, I knew in my life that I was going to have a Pomeranian at some point. And it was going to happen. But I think like you, I didn't think I was going to have another pet, like dog, I guess, until I was an adult, until I had a house.
Right.
Or at least my apartment or
Right,
something.
right.
I was already on my own. So I go to the little crib, and there's all these little puppies, and I'm like, okay, cute. Nothing's getting my attention. And then the corner of my eye, I see this little fluff ball biting this other poor little dog, and he has him pinned down. And then I look, so I'm like, oh no, the poor dog. And then I look, and it's a Pomeranian. And my heart just flutters. And I was like, no. While you're over there looking at your dog.
I will admit, as cute as that tater tot dog was, I was not instantly in love with it. I was like, this is a very cute dog. I enjoy its existence. But it is not a love at first sight deal.
But I don't know if that's how you are, though. I don't know if that's you. I am very.
Right.
If I'm drawn to it, if I have a connection, I'm gonna love it instantly, and I know I will love it instantly.
And I know going to furry babies, my mindset was, this is a dog for you.
Aww.
Because I know that at that time your mental health wasn't the best,
No,
and I wanted you to be happy. I wanted you to have a companion to make you happy.
Yes, and Bentley was it.
So,
and I feel like the worker saw me.
Oh yeah.
Look at Bentley. Either again for you get.
Oh, the commission.
There we go, commission. Okay, go ahead.
I like to think. Well, two ways to look at it. You want to be cynical. She saw you looking at this dog and fawning over it, and she was like, I'm about to get my
commission.
Good paycheck. And the other thing is that she loves dog. The optimistic in me says she saw that you loved this dog, and she wanted to make you and this dog happy.
Right, because I mean, of course, all the employees see you walk in, see you look around, but it's like, you mean to tell me she didn't see you looking at the little tater tot,
Unless she knew.
Because you were by there for a you didn't leave there.
That is true.
And I was with you, and I was like, oh my god, yes, this is so cute. Let me go check out the last crib, and I'll be right back.
Right.
So the second I see Bentley, I can't take my eyes off him. I'm trying to get your attention. And I'm like, Kevin, this is it. And you come over, and you're like, oh yeah. Oh, cool. But what about my dog? And then so the employee comes over, and the first thing she says, do you want to pick him up? Do you want to play with him? And I'm like, can I? And she's like, yeah, let me go set up a room. And they're more like, my heart is just like, oh my god, I'm going to get to play and touch with this dog. I'm going to get to have a one-on-one time with a Pomeranian. Like, my dreams were being fulfilled. And she was like, all right, go ahead, sit in there, and then I'll bring him to you. I was just, my heart. And I remember I was so nervous. I was so excited. She plopped him in there. She plopped him in there. And, of course, her sales game was like, I got her.
Right.
She wants this dog. So she runs my name. She runs everything. Like, she fills out, I think she fills out an application for me and whatnot. Well, obviously not in, like, for real, but...
She basically does everything that needs to be done so that you can walk out with this Pomeranian today.
Yeah, exactly. And as, of course, we're playing with him, he's biting you, he's biting me, I think I remember he was scared a little bit in the beginning, and then we were trying to play with him, and then he was like, yeah, okay. And then he peed. I remember him peeing.
I do remember that too.
And I was like, oh, damn.
So this sales lady, she runs all the paperwork. She does everything right. And then the biggest roadblock that could possibly be thrown at us, the systems fall.
She comes in and she was like, hey, so good news, you were approved if you wanted to buy the dog. And then, of course, in my head, it's like, how is that possible? I have no credit.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. And then, yes, we tell her, sure, let's get it started. And she comes back. And like you said, everything crashes. You can't do anything. But if you put a $50 deposit, we'll save your baby so no one can touch him. No one can play with him. He's yours. Come back tomorrow. Let's do it.
Right.
So I think we do just that.
We put the $50 down. We go home.
Home. Yes.
Excited and anxious.
Yes.
And then I want to say you had work.
I did have work.
You had work. And then
we had to bolt.
We bolted back to Stratford.
Yeah.
And that's not a quick drive.
No. Like, I was obviously closer, but even then, it was still a good drive to get there.
And I think by the time we got there...
But they knew that I had work, so they made sure to stay open for us. Right. Because they knew we were coming in.
Yes, we weren't going to be there in time to have this whole thing be a proper process. It was going to be something rushed.
And even then, we got there... I think something went wrong again.
Yeah, something else went wrong.
Something completely different went wrong, but they were able to go a little further.
Yeah.
And then they said, can you come this day? Which...
I want to say it was the next day. It was either the next day or just 2 days after.
Yeah. Because, we didn't leave Bentley there for a very long time. Then we're like, okay, we drove home. Right. And then whatever day.
so we get home, and then it's the second night with having left puppy Bentley there that you felt like maybe the universe was telling you not to get him.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize it then. I think it's look at this road. Oh, look at this other roadblock. Oh my god, like all these obstacles happening. That day comes, we go. And we're like, I think I remember having this conversation, unless it was just in my head.
No.
But if we didn't take Bentley today, I think that was it. Like, I wasn't, like, because it was far away. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't continue going from Berwyn to all the way, like, back and forth. Right. Like, we couldn't do it.
You did say that as we were parking, you were like, if something stops us today, I'm just going to, count my losses and we're not going to get.
Like, it wasn't meant to be then. But we get there. And they're like, hey, it's you guys. Are you ready to take your dog today? And it's like, yes we are. Finish last minute paperwork. I think something else happens. The store manager was like, that's so weird. This has never happened before. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Looking at this in retrospect, it's like, how often does this happen?
Yeah, no, exactly. But what's funny is that I didn't mention, I think, but time when I went, a woman saw me in my work uniform and was like, you work at PS? And I was like, I do. And she's like, I do too. And it's like, oh, really? And then like the lady that was helping me out was like, oh my god, yes. And like, you both work at PS? We're all just conversating, and me and the woman are talking, like, oh, which store? And then one of the workers come out with Tater Tot puppy, and they're taking the Tater Tot puppy home. And I was like, another woman from the workplace where I was at was taking the puppy that we might have gotten. Like, what are the chances? And that I was there to see that.
Sometimes I wonder what that puppy is like.
That day comes, we finish all the paperwork, we get Bentley. That's it.
We take him home?
We take him home. He was terrified also. He was scared, but he was very, what's this? He was the most cutest dog I've ever seen.
And even though that whole debacle came to a happy conclusion, that was not the end of the obstacles of having Bentley.
No, it was not.
Because at this point in our lives, I was not living in my childhood home. I was living with my grandmother.
Yes.
You were living with your mom.
Yes.
Your mom was with somebody who was not a fan of dogs.
Yes. No, he was not.
Our plan was that during the day,
You would have
Bentley
him
would be with me because I worked
overnight.
the graveyard shift.
Yes. And of course, obviously, while my mother was sleeping, me and Kevin would sneak Bentley in my room and I'd be with Bentley for the night, and then I'd hand him off to Kevin in the morning. So,
which worked decently well.
I mean,
for maybe a week.
I think the most a week, because there's one night it's all good. One night my mother decides to stay up a little bit later, and I hear her and I'm nervous, and I'm like, I know she's gonna come in. I know it. And lucky for us, Bentley was very quiet. As a puppy, he was very quiet. But I remember I turn off my lights so she knows that I'm going to sleep, and she barges in my room, and Bentley's at the corner of my bed, and I stand right in the middle, in between the door frame and my bed, blocking Bentley with my body, so my mother does not see. And Bentley's just standing there too. Like, he's not even moving, he's just standing there too, listening, watching. And I'm just like, I must have given her, I'm hiding something, please don't read it on my face kind of face.
Oh, for sure.
Because I'm like, I can't hide it. There's a puppy right behind me. Like, what am I going to do? So she's like, what is it? And for a split second, she thought you were hiding in my closet or something. And she's like, Kevin better not be here.
Not that night.
Kevin. My dad listens to this.
Oh, I cut it out.
Yes, better. And then she takes a step, to the side, takes a step to the side. So I start taking side steps, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. By that point, I know I'm already busted, so I'm like having fun with it. And then Bentley kind of like hops a bit and is just staring at my mom. And my mom screams, and she's like, what is that? What is that? Is that real? What is it? And I'm like, it's a dog. Surprise. And she's like, what do you mean? Whose dog is that? And I'm like, it's Kevin's dog, Mom. It's like, why is Kevin's dog here? And I'm like, well, Kevin had to work tonight. He didn't want to leave his puppy alone, so I'm taking care of it. Just for tonight, though. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, just for tonight. So I pick him up, and I'm like, look. And that's one thing. My mom isn't an animal person, but she is, if that makes sense. She yes. She gets excited when she sees Bentley. She wants to pet Bentley. But Bentley goes to the bathroom and poops and loses hair.
That's why. Your mom,
so she's disgusted.
Your mom loves the glamour of pets, but doesn't love the dirty work that it takes for that glamour to become reality. Yeah. So she thought he was the most cutest thing ever. My brother also came in. He was like, what's going on? And it's like, your sister has a dog. And my brother was like, what? What is that? At this point, we're all in the kitchen. I'm like holding Bentley. We're all having a conversation. And my mom's just staring at Bentley like, what are we doing? What is going on? Like, the man upstairs is going to freak out if he sees this dog. Jesus. So she keeps it a secret for me for the night. And after that, everything's all a blur. It's hard. You're going back and forth. We're trying to find a stable home for you and for Bentley. And it's not my place, unfortunately. Right. So, luckily, your mom lets you and Bentley stay. So, on my side of things, that summer, I was living with my grandmother. I bring Bentley home the first night. The very day that we take Bentley from furry babies, I bring him home, cage and all, and everyone who lives with my grandmother, so my aunt, my cousins, my other aunt and uncle, and my other cousins, get to meet Bentley. And my grandmother's like, what are you doing? What is this? She loves pets just as much. She is very much in the similar headspace of your mom, where it's like, I love pets. Pets are beautiful, but they is dirty. Completely gave in to me having Bentley live at her house. but on the condition that he lived in the back porch part of the first floor, which wasn't terrible. It was a good compromise. He had a backyard to run around in, to pee and poo, even though he kind of used pee pads. And I say kind of because he barely used pee pads. He would pee on the corners and edges, and then half of his pee would be under the pee pad. And that first night, seeing him in his cage was what I needed to see to assure me that this was the best idea. 100%. There are no regrets about this, no matter what happens. Whatever turbulations we're about to go through because of this puppy, best idea ever. I would do it again, no matter what. And so the summer passes, fall comes, and it starts to get cooler. And that is when my grandma and my aunt tell me, it's going to get cold. He cannot be out there. As it starts to get colder, my aunt does let him stay in his cage in her apartment or her floor. But at that point, I also asked my mom if I can move back in to my old room. She says yes, and me and Bentley get to have our first Christmas back in my childhood home.
Yes.
At the same time, on your dad's side of things, he had to leave his apartment.
Yes.
And so on top of having Bentley, we also threw in Oreo.
Which you would think that Bentley would not be okay with it, but he was. He loved Oreo.
He loved.
She would come out of her cage and he would freak out like, oh my god. But she would sit up at him and be like, leave me alone. Right. And he respected that. She did not respect his space.
Oh no.
But,
oh my god, yeah.
but he respected her. Like, even right now, it's also the same. He really is interested by her, and she just very much wants her own space.
Many a time, Oreo would come out of her cage and into one of Bentley's many beds, bite at the fabric. The worst occasions, pee in his bed.
Oh, I remember Bentley would be sleeping in his bed, and then she would come out, sit in his bed, and sit on him. He would get up and go to the floor right next to his bed and lay on the floor. And it's like, no, Oreo. So in the end, we ended up getting Ben his new bed, and Oreo staying in Ben's old bed.
Yes.
But then Oreo liked the new bed.
Oh, yes.
So.
She was like, I ruined this one. I need the other one now.
Oh my god. She's like, don't you understand that everything is mine?
It was me, Ben, and Oreo.
For the majority of the time, which I feel like we're skipping ahead, but it's not like I didn't see Bentley.
No.
I saw Bentley every day, or every other day, as much as I could.
Every chance you got.
I would drive to you, I'd pick you guys up, we'd go somewhere, we took Bentley everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
We were those crazy people that took his cage and his food and water bowl, and wherever we were, we would sit outside, and he'd be there with us.
There was a day that we went to Danico's.
Yeah.
Did we bring his cage?
Yeah, we did.
We brought his cage, and we sat outside of Danico's eating.
We set up his cage, he was in there, and I remember that day because people were passing by, and I heard a guy, like, who do they think they are, bringing their dog in a what? Like, judging us for bringing our dog.
I didn't hear that.
I did, because it pissed me off.
Right.
And it's like, of course, Billy was a puppy.
Right.
I didn't want to leave him alone. I already left him alone so much that I wanted to spend as much time with him as I could. Mm-hmm. Just like now. Mm-hmm. And nothing has changed. But we did have a lot of great times with him. It does make me feel sad that, he had a rough childhood. He very much had a rough childhood, but I feel like it definitely shaped him to how he is. He's very kind. He's very respectful. He's very playful when he wants to be, but he knows not to pass limits, and he knows he has a specific place. He's a very obedient dog, and I love him to pieces. He's, I love Oreo too, but come to find out that rabbits do not like to be held and snuggled and loved. You can imagine me having Oreo and then breeding and then trying to get her attention, and then me asking my dad, why doesn't she love me? And then me Googling that even though rabbits are soft and fluffy and cute, they do not like to be touched. So you can imagine all that. But she's still great. She likes me now. She's a very mind my own business, mind your own business. You can touch me.
Yes.
You can stop touching me. We recently upgraded her living arrangements, and I think she's loving it now, which I'm very glad. She deserves it.
Yes.
After 7 years.
Yes.
She deserves it. With Bentley, it was great. He was everything that I ever wanted after Crystal and Brownie. He definitely helped me emotionally through so much. And I don't think if it was for him, I feel like I'd still be stuck in a rut, which sucks. So I'm definitely very glad that I have him in my life.
Yes.
Like, I'm very, very grateful. Because he's a definite, like, he's an emotional support dog.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. I mean, will he bark at another dog?
Yes.
If it's, like, 10 feet away? Yes. He cannot control himself. He gets very excited. But when it comes to me and not being okay or being happy, he definitely much knows, and it's crazy.
He has such a spooky sense
Yeah.
of knowing when someone is okay. It's scary.
It is. And I'm gonna be forever grateful for that, for him being the way that he is. And yeah, so it gets to a point where he's not welcomed in with your mom anymore, and we're running out of options. I asked the man we were living with if I can bring my dog for just a bit until we figure out what we can do. I try to tell him that I need him, that he's everything to me, that we have nowhere else to go, that we understand that it was impulsive to get him, that we should have waited, yes, but I needed him. And I don't think they really understood what I was really trying to say without me actually having to say it.
Right.
Because I think at that point I just wasn't ready to, and I don't think they were also ready to hear me. So I cried. He said fine, but he had to stay in the basement in a cage.
Yeah.
And I could not let him out whatsoever. So that was something. Right away we got a cage. My mom, being the way that she is, found the biggest dog cages ever at Walmart that go for like $50, $60 for $5 online. And those cages were at Walmart. So right away, of course, we book it to Walmart. We couldn't believe our eyes. We get the cages. We see that the price there is $50, $60. My mom's like, nope. We go to checkout. She is like, watch this. And of course, she makes a big, like, it says $5. I want them for $5. I'm a valued customer. Are you kidding me? Like, she got the attention of the poor cashier, honestly. But the cashier was on our side. She was like, no, but I mean, I can't do something like that. You're going to have to convince, the store manager or whatever. He comes in. My mom is like all up in his face. I think while you and my brother were outside waiting with Bentley. Because I remember it was just me and my mom.
I think so.
So in the end, I'm like, Mom, are they really going to give it to us? And she was like, don't worry, watch this. So we go at it. My mom was like, I'm not leaving without those cages for that price. If that's not the price that they should be, then you shouldn't have it online. It's not my fault.
Very true.
Yeah. So she gets $60 cages, like the biggest dog cages ever, for like golden retrievers, for German shepherds, for Bentley, a Pomeranian, and two. We get two to make obviously extended for him for $10. Again, my mom's not an animal person, but she would still do not anything, but anything for Bentley. So we go home, set up his food and water that night, and then I couldn't bear just leaving him alone.
Right.
I couldn't do it. So I started sleeping in the basement in the living room, the couches that were down there, which were the man's couches. I started sleeping down there. The man doesn't agree with me sleeping on his couch down there when I have my room.
Right.
Doesn't understand why I would be down there with my animal, you know? So that was a whole situation in it of itself. And I wasn't working, and I was trying to find a job, you know, and whatnot, and school. There was just so much going on. And so Bentley has separation anxiety, like very much so separation anxiety. And I hated leaving him, but I had to go to work. And I was always so scared that he was going to do something to Bentley while I was gone. You know, if in those couple of hours that he was still there after I've left.
Right.
And what sucks is that I started this new job that was supposed to be from 6 to 2 or 3, but it ended up being some dumb job that was like trying to scam, you know, Hispanics and whatnot, and making them work, you know, like those kind of places.
Right.
And I hated it. Hated it. Like, it was the most easiest job, and I loved the job, but I hated the environment. And I hated it because I'd be working from 6 in the morning, supposed to get out at 3, you know, to go be with my dog. But no, almost a 12-hour shift. And they still wanted to keep me till 7, till 8,
my God.
you know?
Right.
And I was like, no, this is not what I signed up for. I want to go home to my dog. You know, especially, obviously, that man is home. My mother is home. Bentley's probably crying. You know, I don't want him to get into more trouble.
Right.
I don't want to risk, you know, him being there. So one day to another, that man decides, I don't want the dog anymore. Even though it was like, yeah, keep him here as long as you can, but you need to find somewhere else. One day to another, he's not having it. We have to find somewhere else.
Which, it's like, understandably, it is his house, but he gave you rules, you follow those rules, and then he decided that those rules weren't good enough for his standards anymore.
I feel like because it was going too well, you know, and
Yeah.
obviously whatever issues he had with my mother was completely different, and of course it affected everything else in the household, but I was very salty after that. Like, it's like, you gave me refuge, you helped me, and then you just took it away
Yeah.
because you could.
Yeah.
And that was honestly horrible. But Melly ended up coming back home with you.
Yes.
Thankfully, your mom helped us
Yes.
with her
Yeah,
problems of her own.
We told her everything that had happened with you and at this guy's house, and then my mother said, okay, Bentley can come back.
Yes. Because it's like your mom very much loves Bentley too, but I don't know. But anyway, we live the rest of our happy days there. Then come the next year, 2017, around August, and I was pregnant.
Baby number 3.
I was pregnant. Noah, surprise! Woo! I feel like that will be for a different day, a different story, because
Yes.
that's a long story in and of its own. So obviously by that point, we have a child. Our parents want us to be together, have our own space. So we look for our new home, so we could be obviously finally together instead of you coming over to my mom's and me going over to your mom's. And we find our apartment that we are still in now.
Yes.
Sadly. Sadly, but thankfully.
Yes.
We find this apartment right away. We move in December. Noah was born in September. We move in the first week of December. All of that was sketchy. But again, different podcast.
We'll get to that.
We move in, and we are all finally together. We are all finally together. Like, thinking about it now, even though it was just a year with Bentley, like, that was the most
It was the crazy year.
2016 was just horrible. Like, no. 2016 just shouldn't have happened.
I think 2016 was universally.
That's why.
Everybody.
That's why.
So you guys know.
You know. So thankfully, we have had our own space with our babies. Of course, Oreo is 7. Bentley is 4. Noah just turned 3. Getting into further down the line, it was just the 5 of us. And then at one point, I really wanted fish. I saw these fish at Walmart. And already there was red flags because Walmart fish. But I saw this beautiful fish. The most beautiful fish I've ever seen. And it was black. And it was beautiful. And then I saw one that was completely opposite of it. And it was white.
Right.
And I fell in love. And I'm like, Kevin, I need these fish. And then you said, okay. It's our relationship is a lot of, I want this, Kevin, and you being like, no. And it's like, but pretty please. And then you being, okay.
Depending on my mood. Depending on how I'm feeling that day, it's either, yeah, okay, or, okay, but I'm also going to get this.
So, we get the fish. I persuade him. I sway him. We get all the stuff.
We got all the stuff first.
We got all the stuff first because the employee was like, get your stuff first, get it situated, and then come back for the fish.
Yes.
So your fish can last.
Yes.
And I'm like, thank you, sir. So I go buy our fish. I buy 6 instead of 2. I buy 6, and I love them because I got them in every color, every shade. It went from black to like white and black to like orange, and it was orange, and then orange and black, and orange and white, and then white. You know, like I got all of it.
Right.
And I had to. And I loved them. I loved them so much. And we had them, sadly, for no more than like a month. Right?
Probably less.
Probably less. But we are still confused why. We made sure that everything was okay. We made sure to clean when needed to clean. We didn't try to bug them. Did not overfeed, did not underfeed. We made sure the temperature was okay. We added things that the tank needed, like filtering, soft clean, like, you know, like all the stuff that fish needed, the fish tank needed for the fish, we got to make sure it was okay. But just one day to another, one fish passed away, and then the next, and then the next, and then there was like 3, and then there was one very big fish, and I honestly feel like that fish was just getting the other fish, because from time to time, I'd find a fish, and then you wouldn't find the other fish. You don't remember that?
Yeah.
So that was very sad. And then I remember, like, I was sad for a while. And because I remember one day to another, we told everybody we have fish. And then at the end of the month, it was, we don't have fish anymore. And I remember you said we could get more fish. And I'm like, I don't want more fish. Like, that definitely scarred me. No, I could not. So we remained the 5 of us again for a while. Until this past year, we found someone else. So I have always wanted Pomeranians. And of course I got Bentley, so I was over the moon. But I have always wanted a black Pomeranian out of anything. Like,
for as long as we've had Bentley, we've always talked about
our future.
The future, Bentley's future, per se.
Yeah.
We always kind of fantasize about what that looked like.
And again, it was in our house with our yard, and everyone having their own room and being happy.
And we would throw in a mate.
Yes.
For Ben. Someone that he could love and spend all his time with and play around and eventually have babies with.
Yes. That was the plan. So ever since we had Bentley, we've joked around, we've tried finding a black girl Pomeranian, because that was the ideal. But it was never, oh, we're going to do it, or we would find one and we would attempt to go see it, and then it would be sold right away.
Yeah.
You know, it would the odds were never in our favor. We would luckily come across it, but the chance was always taken.
So the idea would fade away. We'd fantasize and then leave it be because we knew the day would come.
Yeah.
Until March
Until
of this year.
It was around the time again where, what if we had a black girl Pomeranian? How crazy would that be? That conversation came around again, and I was not looking, but Kevin was.
I went on to Craigslist and I just typed in black female Pomeranians.
Which blows my mind also, because I also look like that, like those straightforward, and I never find anything. Ever. Anything. Anywhere. So the fact that night you just typed that in willy-nilly and you found her is beyond me.
One result. Only
beyond
one
me.
Advertisement pops up for black Pomeranians. The ad was located not too far from us.
Yes.
It was a reasonable drive. I communicated with this lady, and she said, if you want, we can meet up tomorrow, and you can see the Pomeranians.
Yes. And when you told me that, I was flabbergasted. I was like, what? How? What? And I remember talking to you like, are you sure a girl is different from a boy? Of course, she's a woman, so she goes menstrual cycles. Like, it's completely different from a boy.
Right.
And I remember your face, you were like, oh. But I was going with the fact that we were going to play to see if it was a right decision.
I woke up that morning and I knew.
I did not.
I knew this was my furry babies. I knew I wasn't going to come home without another Pomeranian.
And we go, gloomy day. We go, it's raining. We're waiting for this woman. She's not showing up. She's like, I'm here. We're like, we're here. We're not finding each other. We're still talking about it. We're still debating. Because at that point, Kevin tells me that we're getting one. And I'm like, I thought we were just petting. I thought we were just looking. And he was like, well, I guess we'll see. So this woman pulls up. And she takes out the two most cutest black Pomeranians ever.
One girl and one boy.
One girl and one boy. And she asks, oh, which one, what did you want? And I'm like, we wanted a girl. So quickly she tucks away the boy in the car, and my heart broke a little.
I hope that little baby Pomeranian found himself a good family.
I really hope so. And I'm holding her, and she's everything. Of course, Bentley and Noah are in the car, and Bentley's just itching to get out because he sees.
And Noah's looking at him like, why are you so
Noah's
excited?
just busy eating fish crackers. So I'm holding her. We're talking to the woman. I go around to Bentley to see if Bentley even is okay, because we didn't want to get another dog if Bentley was not okay with it. We had to make sure that Bentley was going to be comfortable with another dog, just because he's not around dogs a lot. So we wanted to make sure that this was going to be okay for him, and also for Noah. Noah loves Bentley, so we were like, okay, you know what? This baby's going to be for the both of them, for all of us.
Right.
I show Bentley the Pomeranian, and Bentley's just sniffing her face, and she's not having it. I show Noah. Noah could care less. But I really liked that Bentley was okay and not trying to snip at her, not trying to bark at her. He was just smelling her and very intrigued with whatever she was. So I hand her off to you.
And it's at that moment that I knew she was my dog. Just like you had felt when you first saw Bentley.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up the tater tot thing. That it was like, oh, I this dog is really cute, but I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Because comparatively, holding this little black Pomeranian, I did have that.
So, in the end, the woman asked the question because we're standing there, we're holding her, and we're staring at each other. And I came here to pet and play with, and you came here to buy, apparently. So the woman asked, because of course, she's waiting. It's raining. It's chilly. It's like, so are you taking her or not? And I look at Kevin, and then Kevin looks at me like, you answered. And it's like, okay, yes, okay. So I sign paperwork. She gives me all of her previous vaccination records, her birth certificate, and that's it. The woman leaves. And that's it. We get in the car, and we have another dog. And that was wild. It was so, like, it just happened so fast. Because I did not expect to be leaving with a dog. We had to buy all the essentials.
Yeah.
So we stopped by Walmart. I go in quickly. Kevin stays in the car with the babies. I go in, get a bed, get puppy food, get shampoo and conditioner. I get everything. And I come back out, and the sky is the most bluest I've ever seen it. I go in, and it was gloomy. I come back out, and it's, like, hot. It is so hot.
Yeah.
We go home. The whole car ride, she's, like, kind of anxious, but she's letting me hold her, but she wants to walk around, but we're in a car. And Bentley's, like, smelling her and just confused why we took this animal with us. We come home. She's walking around. Noah is also confused. I don't think Noah noticed her in the beginning until he, like, she would get in front of him and he'd be like, wait, what's that? She just made herself comfortable.
Yeah, almost immediately.
Like, immediately. Like, she fit in so perfectly. And we're saying this in past tense because, unfortunately, she passed away in August.
It's crazy how drastic these changes are. It's crazy how pets affect us so deeply. And from my perspective, because I've had my pets, I've had my tragedies with pets. I have my running theme of me and my brothers being the doom to animals. Lily was not that. Obviously, Lily didn't have to face my brothers. But Lily was...
I didn't even mention her name. Yeah, her name was Lily. Lily Gabriela Fernandez.
Arroyo Fernandez.
Just like Bentley. I don't even think I even said Bentley's name. Bentley's Alejandro Fernandez.
Arroyo Fernandez.
No.
Oh, right.
I
guess. But, so, we got her in March. Those first...
And literally the next day you go to work.
Yeah.
So, I'm home with Bentley and Oreo and Noah and a puppy. And Noah and Bentley are a handful on their own. Noah is a handful, of course, on his own. Oreo is perfect. Bentley is, of course, attached to me, so Bentley's always by me. Noah, of course, I'm his mom, so he's always by me. But Noah just can't leave Bentley alone. So adding a puppy into the mix, trying to be a mom, trying to make sure Bentley's okay, trying to keep this puppy afloat from these two crazy kids was a nightmare. And she already had her own personality, which was spontaneous and energetic and running around, biting everything, playing with everything. Like, she made herself at home. She was so scared, she was so shy, but...
She was so lively.
Yes. As dark as her coat was, she definitely lit up the room. and made sure it was not quiet. There was always something happening.
We couldn't not have her in our sights, otherwise there'd be a mess to clean.
Sadly, Bentley wasn't too keen with it. I think Bentley did go through a period of feeling left out and neglected, which was never the case. I made sure to have Bentley by my side all day, every day,
But
to make sure that I wasn't just pushing him away or off to the side or anything.
But it was Lily's energy and her desire to be around you and Ben and Noah that kind of fed into Ben's feeling of being kind of outside.
Yes, because Bentley wants me to himself, and then Noah wanted me to himself, and then Lily wanted me, or to herself. Lily wanted me to herself. So it was very difficult to balance all three of them all at the same time. Like, I would be sitting on the couch, and it would finally be at a calm point, and I would be brushing Bentley brushing Bentley with my feet. He'd be on the ground, and I'd be scratching him with my foot, and Noah would be sitting on me, and I'd be holding him, letting him play with my hand or my hair or whatever, and then Lily really liked sitting on top of the couch, so she'd be by my head, and I'd be petting her with my other hand, and she'd be licking my ear or biting my hair or something. So I was very much giving myself to every one of them however I could. I definitely made sure to give them all the attention that they needed, especially Bentley.
Yeah.
I made sure to give Bentley more attention than I usually would. And of course, all of them seeing me giving Bentley attention meant, oh my god, playtime. Which, of course, Bentley's a grandpa now, apparently. I think Lily and Noah definitely tired him out these past months. So he is now grandpa.
Yeah.
It took some time getting used to a new baby.
Yeah.
It definitely did. It was very difficult, and for a while I was like, what are we doing? What did we do? But in the end, I would see her prance and pull on Bentley's face. It was perfect. And it's like she fit in so perfectly. It's honestly scary how she just made herself at home and how she gave us all what we needed.
Yeah. She
literally adjusted to everyone.
She was literally like the definition of this is the thing you don't know you want or need.
With Noah really wants somebody to play with.
Oh my Jesus.
And Bentley's not it. Bentley's grandpa, so
He can be.
He can be, but
not as much as Noah wants or needs.
Yeah. And of course Lily was a puppy, so she had that energy.
She had just as much energy as him.
And Noah and Lily would go at it. Noah finally had somebody to play with. Bentley, although he very much didn't want her around, I knew he very much needed her. Just because whenever we would leave, I knew he still has a separation anxiety and doesn't want to be alone. So she made sure to never ever leave his side. Wherever he slept, she slept. Wherever he laid down, she laid down. Whenever he ate, she ate the little drops that he dropped. Bentley went to drink water, so did Lily.
Yeah.
Bentley came to sit next to me, so did she.
She followed him everywhere.
And he hated it. He hated it, but I know he loved it.
Gross.
She, with Oreo, yes, they did interact. Oreo right away smelled something new. they both smelled each other, and it was as if on an instant, Lily was like, okay, I'm not going to bother her. So Lily smelled Oreo, Oreo smelled her, and Lily walked away. And I'm not sure what it is about Oreo that makes her very dominant and assertive or somehow. But Bentley respects her, Noah respects her.
That
That
to me
boggles
is
my
so
mind.
much more defining.
Yeah. Because there's so many more stories about Oreo that we have not said. But so there's, I don't know, you just got to see all of us. You just got to see all of them. But somehow Lily knew that, okay, you don't mess with her. You look, don't bother.
Yeah.
And she did. She did just that. Whenever she would walk by Oreo's cage, she would stare at her, smell, Oreo would smell, and they would both go their separate ways. And with me, I still very much struggle with my mental health. So on my bad days, with Bentley there, she would do the same things that Bentley would do. And it's crazy how she knew what to do. Like, I don't understand how she just would see Bentley. And of course, she already wouldn't leave me alone, just like Bentley. So on my bad days, she would see Ben helping me out, and she would do just that, just the way that he would. And it really helped. It helped tremendously.
For me, she was perfect. She, and you say this, you said this a lot. She was like the last piece of a puzzle that we were
She
trying to
was.
complete.
Yeah.
She kept me on my toes so much. Then I mean, having a toddler keeps you on your toes already. Having a Pomeranian keeps you on your toes. And having a puppy Pomeranian just brings it to a refreshing level. She was so playful, and she came to me to play in moments where I didn't think I needed it. After a long day of work, she'd be the first person to greet me at the door.
Bentley wasn't greeting you at the door anymore. Noah wasn't greeting you at the door anymore.
But she was
But she was.
so
She knew.
excited and happy that I was home. She was absolutely perfect.
She was. I know a lot of people didn't know about her or didn't know that we had her because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And of course she's a puppy. She needed her shots before she can go out to meet new people and new dogs. And unfortunately, when that time finally came, her time also finally came.
There's so much to say. One of the first thing that comes to my mind is this one time I was in the bathroom and she followed me in and she saw her reflection and she fought her reflection. She
I
scratched.
know, you told me and I couldn't believe it.
It was the funniest and cutest thing in the world.
Because Bentley didn't do that. Bentley never did that. So the fact that she did, and I think I got to see it once or twice, and
I never got to see it after that. That was the only time.
Yeah, because of course she followed me into the bathroom too. And I think it was most likely into the next day after you told me, where she went in and I think she saw her reflection and she like kind of like pounced at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that? Because she was very clumsy, so she fell. And I loved that she liked bubbles.
She loved bubbles.
Which confused the heck out of me. One day with Noah, we were playing with the bubbles, and she saw them, and she would jump and bite them, like to pop them, and it was the most cutest thing ever. Like I've seen dogs do it in videos,
right?
But I would have never thought that my dog would do it too. Like it was the most craziest and cutest thing I've ever seen.
She was also just learning how to walk. Or how to be walked.
How to
She
go
was
on walks.
so the last couple of weeks that we had her, she had finally started going on walks with me and Belly. I was finally getting to potty training her, and that for those first couple weeks, she absolutely hated it. She fought me so hard. I would be dragging her.
She would like huff and
Try
be
to
like,
wiggle
no.
out.
Yeah. She would try to wiggle.
And then as I kept taking her out with me
Mhm,
and Bentley, she started to get used to it. She wasn't peeing. She wasn't going in the
She was just
bathroom,
going
but
with
she
the
was
flow.
just going. She was just happy to be there. And oh my Jesus, the energy she put into the walk was insane. It was overwhelming for me and Ben, because she would race until her leash tugged her back, and then she'd run back the other direction, and she would just pendulum back and forth.
Yeah.
And she would get tangled up with Ben. And then maybe a week before we lost her, she finally started to go to the bathroom a little bit. And I was so excited.
By that point, her personality was already developing. She had her own kinks and quirks that she would do that Bentley wouldn't, or she was copying Bentley. You know, she was definitely growing up.
There was a whole lifetime that was taken away from us when we lost her, and it is heart-shattering, and it has been a lot quieter since she's left, and we do our best to go forward because we have to, but I know we'll never forget her.
No.
And I know that when Noah gets older, I definitely want to make sure that he knows that she was here and that she loved him. And yeah. If you walk away from this with anything, it's definitely, if you have pets, love them. Definitely hold your pet.
Love your pet as much as you can, because you just never know when it'll be the last time. And we were debating if we should include, obviously, Lily in here.
Because she was here.
Because she was here, and it's difficult to talk about it. It was difficult to talk about it.
I mean, we're only just barely 2 months.
Yeah.
Since we've lost her, so it's still a fresh wound. It still hurts. It still makes us cry. It creeps into my mind every day, and it stops you in your tracks.
A lot of people don't have that connection with animals, and don't agree with an animal is just an animal. Don't be sad over an animal. It's not like it was a human. And I hate those kind of people. If you come and you tell me that, please get out of my face. And I know hate's a very strong word, but if you come to me and you tell me that that animal was just an animal and not part of my family, not one of my children, then you're wrong. Then you don't know what you're talking about.
I'll be honest in saying that I didn't think I was an animal person, even though I have pets, which is a little
The
contradictory,
audacity.
right? But having Bentley and Oreo and Lily has more than amplified and solidified that I love animals. I think I love animals just a little bit more than you, because
Than me?
animals includes insects.
Oh, then no.
But I know we've had this topic up in the air for a couple weeks, and I was scared to talk about it because I wasn't sure how I was gonna do. Because
I'm not okay.
we're not okay. We're not okay, and that's okay. I wanted to share her with you guys.
Yes.
I wanted you guys to know that she was here. If you'd never met her, I want you to know that she was here. Maybe
you got to see her on my Snapchat from time to time.
But when this podcast ends, maybe take one moment to just think about this super, super energetic ball of black fur for us and acknowledge that she was here, if even for just a short bit. Because unfortunately, we didn't get to have a bunch of you see her or meet her.
We didn't get to go on the adventures that we wanted to take her on. Future birthdays. It's really devastating and heartbreaking and not fair.
It is not fair. But
when she was here, she made our lives so much more better. And I will forever appreciate her for that. She made us see that there was so much more, that we can do so much more.
So love your pets. If you have pets. If you don't have pets, love the pets of the people you do know who have pets.
Appreciate those pets.
If you're not an animal person, understand that people who do have pets see their pets as family, as their children, and just tell the people you love that you love them. Because ultimately, life is short and life is quick, and tell everybody that you know that you love them. Make sure nothing is left unsaid, because you never know when it's over. Sorry to leave you guys on a bit of a somber note, but if you're still here, we appreciate it, and we love you for sticking through this entire podcast with us. Come back next week. There will definitely be a much cheerful topic, hopefully. But also understand that we are open to being vulnerable to you, random listener. I can do this. I've rehearsed this. Like, comment, subscribe.
If you want to.
Let us know what pets you have had in your life.
What pets you have right now.
What crazy stories do you have with them?
Make sure you tell them you love them.
Come back every Sunday for a new podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Links will be in the description below. We love you. You are loved. And we will talk to you guys next time. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.